everyone, to another exciting episode of Kids on Brooms, right here at Proficiency Bonus. I'll be your wonderful narrator and favorite professor, Fern Spindlewheel, today as we continue our adventure with our second semester, folks. A lot has gone on in the last couple of episodes, so I hope that you will hang on tight with us as we continue to explore what happens here at Weeping Terrace, School for the Magically Gifted. We're going to jump ahead just a few days in our episodes. As the last we've left off, our heroes were at the greenhouse, kind of discovering the conflict that happened between Professor Oliander Halifax and this terrible snake plant creature that seemed to be wrecking the place. So we're going to jump to Friday of the second week of school. First thing that must be addressed is Ellie Woodstock visited the counselor's office, demanding to be transferred out of Professor Inkwood's class. As she was doing so, she tried to fill her entire schedule with everything that Professor Halifax teaches. But the school counselors would not allow this to happen, as it would not look good for a balanced student, and it would not give her enough credits to graduate on time. She is really struggling to fit in with these classes. They have not panned out to give her the kind of education she was hoping to accomplish when her father had her transferred here in the first place. But she's still trying to figure it out, and she's working on it, as she has her head buried into her phone, walking down the halls most of this week. Ebony, there has been one student in particular who has been in several of your classes over the first couple weeks of school. His name is Jasper Rubus. Derek, can you introduce and describe Jasper's appearance to our audience for us?
Sure. He is a white male that has very tan skin. He kind of looks like he has the build of a defensive lineman for football. So you can get the size-wise of his appearance. He has very short hair, not where it's like a buzz cut, but keeps it well under control. And then he has a little bit of facial hair that's starting to grow out, but it's still in those years of not looking super great, but he's trying. And he seems to be always wearing a vest-like thing with a hood, with the hood always up, and always kind of keeping his head down. But yeah.
Would you say, where would you say that Jasper Rubus would like to sit in classes? Near the front or more so near the back?
Probably near the back, or
back?
in the middle, something. Yeah, definitely not the front.
No,
Yeah,
not the front. Yeah.
no, too much attention.
Yeah. I'm feeling this introvert.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely reminding me a lot of myself when I was that age.
Same.
You were a defensive lineman, Michael?
That's interesting to know that.
I was for a day, and they broke every bone in my body. And then I said, maybe this isn't for me.
Maybe theater.
That's it. So, on this wonderful Friday, it just so happens that you guys are once again, the way classes work at Weeping Terrace is you take 3 classes a semester. So you schedule these 3 classes, but they're 3, you meet 3 times per week in those classes. So Defense Against the Dark Arts, Professor Inkwood, you would see the same class 3 times. Sometimes the class would be in the morning, sometimes it would be in the afternoon, sometimes it would be in the evening. What would you guys say? I'm going to ask Jasper, Ebony, and Professor Inkwood this question. What do you think on Friday that you guys would all have your class together? Would it be a morning class? Would it be an afternoon? Or would it be an evening class on Friday?
No mornings.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jasper's definitely not a morning person, but
No mornings.
So no
I would
mornings?
prefer evenings, but I'll take afternoons. Depends
Yeah.
on what the teacher does.
either one works for me too. Okay.
Evening's
Evening?
fine?
Yes.
Okay, so we got an evening.
This
so
is why she's a cool teacher.
evening class. So this is kind of like that class that begins at about 7 p.m. after dinner and runs till about, it can go till about 8 or 8:30. And the evening classes have a little bit of flexibility to them. It's almost like this is when teachers sometimes schedule labs that can go later on in the evening, and it's kind of like it reminds me of my drawing classes in college, where I could stay and I could draw for hours afterwards, and the professor really didn't care, and they usually had their office hours then because it was just easy that way, and they didn't have to worry about early morning office hours and things of that nature. So you guys are enjoying your class. Professor Inkwood, it's the evening on Friday of the second week of school. What do you think the lesson would be for your students on this particular day?
Well, because this is a more advanced class, I mean, I feel like a field trip would be fun.
Okay.
I don't remember. Do we have a Forbidden Forest-ish thing in this?
We do now.
Yeah, we're going there.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes! I probably showed up early for class.
Oh, me too. Definitely.
You got
Oh.
Ebony's got her parents' permission slip in her hand. She's like ready to go.
No,
She's
I
like,
don't!
"Ah,
No, I don't! It's
I don't
probably,
either.
That's it.
it's probably my parents' person.
I've got to get this forged really quickly.
No, because my parents are dead, so like,
yeah, that's right. Well,
it's probably
well,
ink.
Ink would
I handed it to
probably.
you already signed.
Yeah, here's your permission.
Please give this back to me on Friday night.
Okay, yeah.
Jasper, are you excited or discouraged about a field trip? to the-
No, he'd probably be excited.
Excited about that?
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, so go ahead and take away, as everybody's entering your classroom, permission slips in hand. Looks like Ebony is dressed for the occasion. What would Ebony be wearing knowing that she's going to a forbidden swampy forest?
She's probably got really high knee-high combat boots.
Nice.
Really nice, but like ready to like get nitty and gritty. And she's like, of course, all black and a little bit of purple accents. But like again, her hair is up. She's wearing a beanie to keep her hair out of her face, so she's like ready to go.
Perfect. Perfect.
Chains and all, though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Professor Halifax.
Oi.
Now I'm going to ask you this, Professor Inkwood. If you knew that you were going to take your class on a field trip, and you knew Professor Halifax had Friday evenings off in his schedule, would you invite Professor Halifax along on your field trip? This is a question I must ask.
I feel like no, but upon finding out that like this was happening, like administration would be like, you can't take a bunch of children alone. Like, here, take him. He's free, you know. And
Yes.
so I'm.
so
Great duress.
you've been forced chaperoned to this field trip, Professor Halifax.
I assume that I am
Oh,
either.
That's never happened to a teacher before.
I do assume that I'm either not aware that my invitation to this field trip was under duress, or I am pretending as if I'm not. As far as I'm concerned, this is a grand old time, and I've obtained like a stick from somewhere that I'm just like trekking around with. I'm having a grand day.
Speaking of grand day, Halifax, we're gonna back up in time just a little bit. We're gonna back up just a wee bit.
Okay.
Afternoon, after lunch, you had your very first Battle Pod tryouts for Team Draconum. Now, you are the head coach because you've been the. How many years would you say you've been the head coach of the Draconum Battle Pod team?
I believe we established last episode that I have been teaching here for like a decade. So probably most of the time, as it is one of the few activities at the school that I do consider reckless and dangerous enough to be truly enjoyable. And yeah, so I probably spent a few years as like the assistant coach, as the previous head coach was like a 200-year-old gentleman who is since retired, and I've been doing that ever since.
I imagine a coach that's like buried into a clipboard the entire time, just hollering at people and not even looking at them, like he can't even understand
and he always wore one of those like old-timey leather football hats,
that's it.
which doesn't even make sense as an out-of-date piece of equipment. Is that helmet was never part of this sport to begin with, so nobody really knows why he insisted on wearing it all the time.
Absolutely, that sounds great. I'll say that your first 2 years here, you were assistant coach under this individual, and then for the last 8 years, you have been the head coach. As they basically, when that coach retired and sailed off into the magical sunset, so to speak, you took over, and you've had some great success as the Draconum head coach of Battle Pods. You've actually won the championship here at Weeping Terrace, the school championship, the last 4 years running. Mostly because of a star ringer of yours named Seth Staghart. Unfortunately for you, Seth graduated at the end of last year and is no longer allowed to play on the Weeping Terrace team. So
yeah, I plan to bring him back wearing like fake glasses and a mustache. Was discovered quite immediately, which is unfortunate.
But you also have another issue on your team. So each team has has 3 positions. You have blockers, you have slammers, and you have ringers. So one of your ringers has graduated, so you're going to have to replace your best player on your team. The second thing is you have a blocker by the name of Rock Greytwig. Unfortunately, you just got a letter recently. He's been put on academic probation and is not allowed to play until he pulls his grades up in his classes. So you have 2 holes that you have to fill on the Draconum team. You're also permitted to have 2 players on a bench as like in case somebody gets hurt or they can't play for other academic reasons. But you notice as you hold these tryouts, there are 4 individuals who end up showing up to your tryouts. And I'm going to ask Jasper. Well, Jasper, you're in Avenoches, so this would not affect you. You have 4 people that show up. The first person standing in the front of the line for tryouts happens to be Ellie Woodstock. She is on her phone at the time, but she is the first person that stands in line to try out for the team. A second one is an individual, a young man in his second year named Leland Hawley. Another individual, a young lady from Draconum, probably in her 3rd or 4th year, named Ren Fiddlesticks. And the last individual is an individual that that Ebony would probably recognize, and Ellie recognizes her too at first, is Cecilia Wolfs, who was friends with Simon Kettles and Sterling Jewell, and they were kind of the people that were playing pranks on you in the hallway. She was part of the group that gave you that envelope that kind of blew glitter into your face. Now, Ellie is not technically permitted to join the Draconum team because she's in a completely different house. I believe she's in a different house. I think she's in Avenoches.
Yeah, I think so.
So she's standing there in her purple and black regalia while everybody else is wearing red and green, but doesn't seem to care.
All right, so I need to locate from among this amongst this gaggle of sorry sights. I've got to see if there's a few people worth whipping into shape to join the team. That's about the long and short of it?
Oh, you guys can just go home. I'm a shoe-in. Is Ellie
I do realise that I don't have the best grasp on the distinctions between the houses, but I am at least fairly certain that the red one is my team. Therefore, I don't think you're eligible.
Oh, let's see. Ellie starts to go on her phone, and she starts to type some things, and then you see her take her phone and just go and take like this picture, a selfie, and all of a sudden her clothes change to red and green. All done.
All right. As usual, not really sure what's happened here, but your logic, as far as I can tell, is impeccable. Therefore, sure, let's do it. Right, so,
as the tryouts begin to take place, you notice that you definitely do not have an individual here that has the skill as a Seth Stagheart.
sure.
You think Leland Hawley might be able to handle being a ringer, but he's kind of just average magical athlete here. Ren Fiddlesticks, you're not really sure that she would even be worthy of the bench of your team. Ellie just doesn't seem like she does what you ask her to do, but it doesn't look like she seems to be focused on anything than imagining you without your shirt on again.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that she is, despite her color-changing outfit, ineligible for the team. I'll just don't have the energy to argue with her. So that's fine. I'm assuming that I'm gonna
just bench Ellie. You're fine.
Yeah, we'll just put her on the bench, or we'll tell her she's like the towel boy or something. And
she's the person that posts the update scores on social media.
I assume
she runs your social media. Like, you guys get a shit ton of new fans because she's running your social media.
That's it.
I assume that she'll end up being like the Lee Jordan of our sport here.
This young lady, Cecilia Wolfs, who tries out as well, is doing a decent job. You think that maybe Leland Hawley is a little bit better of an athlete than she is, but you can see that she's got a lot of effort in her, and she's really trying. She might make a good replay, at least fill in for Rock, your blocker, until he gets out of academic probation. Could be a possibility. You also know you still have a few weeks, so somebody could join up late, or you could do some recruiting of some people who just weren't brave enough to come to the first tryout.
Right. Well, as long as they're all here, I assume the do I have my the remainder of my actual team present as well?
Yes, you have a blocker named Luther Lace. who is there.
What?
Your slammers are Victoria Griffin and Axel Pincushion. And your other ringer happens to be an individual named Gabe Hawley, who is Leland Hawley's older brother.
Leland. Gabe. Leland's brother. Ringer. Alrighty, I know I did invent this game, but so I've got. I'm trying to refresh myself on the rules. It's been a while. So I've got 2 slammers currently. I've got a ringer, and I need. I've got a blocker and a complete team. I do need 1 more blocker and another ringer for a complete fieldable team of 6.
Yep, you got to have 6.
Alrighty.
You can have up to 8 with 2 people on the bench.
Then as we take the sort of I'll read our tryouts here, and I've got I assume that we have just recently completed doing a grueling series of wind sprints followed by bleacher runs
Yeah,
as a warm up.
As you're running back and forth, Ellie is just walking, like typing something, like text messages. Like everybody's like going like 3 laps around, and Ellie's just.
All right, yeah. So as we've sort of got our warm up out of the way, what I'd like to do is I'm going to start dividing the assembled students up, and I'm going to take from my existing team. I'm going to take Luther, Victoria Griffin, and Gabe, and set them to one side, and then I'm going to take my other slammer Axel and put him to the other side, and then from these between them and the group of tryouts that I have, I'm going to assemble 2 teams.
Okay.
So one team will consist of Luther. What do I say? Luther, Victoria, Gabe.
Yep.
As well as Gabe's sibling. Let's see. Cecilia.
Okay.
So I think that completes one team.
Yep.
And then the other team would consist of Axel. I was just sort of like point Ellie towards one of the other ringer pods.
What?
As I need a body.
You want me to get in there?
Yeah, well, it is sort of the point of the game, darling. I don't.
Really?
Unless you want to go down the enormous several-story luge trek on your behind, it is probably preferable.
I just thank you so much for taking the time to care about my safety,
Yep.
Professor. I'm gonna make a nice post about you. And she literally walks away from you and goes and sits on the bench.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but all right. So let me see here. Considering she's been about as helpful as I thought she was going to be, how many positions do I now have empty on the secondary team here?
Well, you
Let's
have
see.
so to make a full team of having one of each, you could have 2 teams. If you got Luther, Victoria, and Gabe as your first team, you could do Axel, you could do Leland, and you could either do Cecilia or Ren. It'd be like your choice on who you want to be the third person on that team. Somebody's gonna have to sit.
Sure. All right. Well, yeah. Then I will do that. I'm like counting out.
Sure.
Like,
and we can say.
Then Ellie goes to the bleachers, and I'm like, all right, I've just divided into 2 teams. Bollocks. We're gonna be here all afternoon.
Yes, and we could say narratively, like you go through a couple drills, you have the team like you have them run down and show their magical pod abilities and their prowess and everything, and it turns out that that Leland's gonna do a pretty good job. He needs to spend some time around his brother a little bit more and get more practice. He's still young, so you think you see some spark in him, like you could get him to where Gabe is, probably. You don't know if he'll ever be a Seth, but athletes like Seth come around like very few and far between. Like, he could play any position and be spectacular at it. Ren is maybe a bench possibility. Ellie is definitely on the bench. As she doesn't seem to have any desire to even get into a magical pod. And Cecilia, the other one, she's putting a lot of effort in. You can tell she's working really, really hard. She, as a blocker one time, she made this really excellent block against Gabe, which is now your number one ringer, and seemed to stand out on that opportunity. And seems to have a good attitude about it. And we'll kind of fast forward there to the end of tryouts. Everybody's kind of gathering their bags of holding, their gym bags of holding, and they're getting their gym bags of holding. They're getting their materials ready, and Ellie's like patting her face like she's been sweating the whole time and stuff like that with a towel, and just been sitting on the bench. And Gabe comes up to you and is like, "Hey, look, my brother's trying. I know he's not the best, but I think he can get there, Coach."
This sport doesn't always have to be about winning every single game. That's how you end up the bad guy team in an 80s sports movie. So I don't intend to run my team while running off anybody who needs a little bit of work. If my math is right, which it distinctly might not be, I believe, considering that we are going to have to make up a fake position to satisfy Ellie, our actual positions and our ability to have alternates does mean that I think we've got enough spots to keep everybody on.
Oh, well, that's great, Coach. That's great. I'm excited about this season. I really am. I know that Seth was like really good and everything, but I've been practicing a lot over the break. I know I didn't come out the gate showing it all today, but I want to keep some of it a surprise. I kind of want to hand it to Avenoches this year.
They're the purple ones.
That's right, Coach.
Yeah.
He just looks at
I knew that.
My dad used to play for the Draconum Battle Pods team way back when.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Oliver Holly.
How many years ago is this then?
Oh, that was probably, I don't know, maybe close to 40 years ago.
Before my time, but yeah, I'd never turn down a family that's got battle pods in the blood.
All right.
There's not nearly enough violent physical contact in this school for my preference. So I think battle pods is it's a right lovely activity. And a lot of people think that it is all just rolling down a large luge-style track at a unsafe velocity and slamming extremely hard into other students. And it is certainly that. But it's a mental game too.
Mm.
And that's what we've got above any of those other teams this year. I think we're gonna beat them up here,
That sounds great, Coach.
and then we're gonna beat them down there.
With concussions?
With
Yeah, well,
concussions.
yes, it is part of my part of my master plan. It is a lot easier to outthink the opposing team if you've concussed them all in the first round.
That is valid.
Valid. Oh, I'm sorry, Coach. I got to get running. I got my technomancy class to get to in a little bit, right after dinner, and I got to make sure I'm ready.
Will do. All right. Well, I think that's enough for today. Good work, everybody. The crate containing the finger unbreaking potions is on the sideline. Feel free to take as many as you need on the way out the door, and I will see you all in let's call it 4 days' time for another bout of final tryout rounds and a bit of practice before the season starts.
Ellie's like, it's over? Practice is over already? What? No.
Yeah, it is.
And basically, Professor Halifax just leaves, and Ellie's just sitting there on the bench. Well, okay, whatever. And then gets up and starts walking off the battle pod field. And at that point, we're going to transition back forward in time a little bit, back to the classroom. A question for you, Jasper. What would you say that your relationship has been like with Ebony? You have a lot of classes with her. Do you know her very well? Do you not know her? Would you be a positive relationship with her, or would you have a negative relationship with her? You think?
I mean, I don't. Definitely not negative.
Okay.
I don't. At least I don't think. I mean, Jasper kind of keeps to himself, except for in Defense Against the Dark Arts, where he seems more excited to be in that class than some of his others.
Okay.
But so I mean, I don't know. I think it's maybe like either neutral or good. Like
Okay.
we have, I don't know.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and roll a d20 for me. And we're going to
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question based on the number that you roll about your relationship with Ebony. And you're going to go ahead and improv answer this question to help build your relationship a little bit more in depth.
Cool. An 18.
18. Go ahead and roll one more time. I don't think that really fits with,
Okie dokie.
with this.
A 3.
A 3. What wonderful thing has Ebony done that has the whole school talking about her?
Oh
You mean
God.
outside of the rumor that's already there?
Oh God.
If you need time to think about it, we can do vice versa and see what I roll for you.
We can, yeah.
I am not sure because I don't really know Ebony's character all that well.
Sure.
Okay, I will give you a brief rundown. She hates preps.
Okay.
She's very goth. She loves Evanescence and Hot Topic. She's an orphan with a lot of money. She's a slacker, but she's hella charismatic. Does that help at all?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll. You said a d20, yeah?
Yeah, and what would your relationship be on the other way going to Jasper?
I would say it's positive.
Okay. Yeah, you
'Cause
probably
he
sit
doesn't
near the
seem
back with
like,
him
yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say it's positive. He doesn't seem like the type to like associate with the preps.
Yeah, he doesn't really associate
So,
with anyone. He kind of
anybody,
keeps himself,
so-
and he doesn't bother
and I
you
feel
or annoy
that
you.
that's he's a whole ass mood, and I respect that.
Okay, go and roll a d20 for him.
4.
4. You and this character once cut class together. Why and which class was it?
Better
Any
not
class,
say.
yeah, except for the Defense Against the Dark Arts one.
No,
Any
it
classes
wouldn't-
except for
no.
that one.
Ebony actually doesn't cut this class. This is the one she doesn't cut.
Mhm.
'Cause I know
Especially
where to
since-
find you.
And she knows where to find me. She helped me with my finances when my parents died. Like, I spent a whole ass summer with her, so she knows where to find me at all times. So I would never cut her class.
And it's them. They, them.
Oh, sorry.
You're all
Shit,
good.
every
Okay.
time. I meant Ani as a person, but yes.
Yeah,
Um, What classes do we have here?
You
I don't
have-
have that sheet up.
There's you got your unconventional classes, which are weaving with thought strands, technomancy, advanced experimental botany, defense against food-based invasions, sirenmancy,
Oh.
manipulating magic through music and hymnals. And we've got the glamour cosmetology class, the magically enhancing your looks. We've also got the standard classes that are in the class schedule, which I will find right here. We've got the defense against, well, we call it dark arts. It's also called malicious magic in this one. So defense against the dark arts. We've got the history of magic, potions, divination, astronomy, numerology, charms, brooms, summoning, transfiguration. Those are some of your options.
Probably divination.
Okay. Divination?
Yeah. Or one of the standard ones for sure.
Sure, you guys cut divination. Why did you cut divination together that one day?
They're real good at the class, and they divined ahead of time that it was going to be boring that day.
I mean, that's the excuse we gave. We knew nothing important was happening. We were ahead on our homework.
Used magic to see into the future.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
important that day. I
Nothing
like
important that day.
it. That's good. Fantastic.
I don't know. I feel like maybe like on top of that, but I feel like maybe Ebony was just having a rough week and was like, maybe bumped into him just before, like, hey, I heard it's not gonna be a good class. Let's go.
Yeah, you guys were like the last two to like come in,
Yeah.
and then it was like, and just bolted. Got it.
Yeah.
Rough week.
So for you, what if like you gave like iPods to kids that couldn't really afford them since you like music,
Aw, yeah.
and I was
yeah.
one of those kids? How about that?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I would totally buy. Yeah, I have a lot of money. I would totally
Yeah.
do that. And it's all full of like Good Charlotte, Evanescence, Simple Plan, like the good shit, the
Yeah,
good
yeah.
emo rock. Yeah.
Does this game take place in like 2004? Is that what we're like steadily
Yes,
beginning to learn here?
I
We're
mean,
giving
it's
out like
just-
iPod
Ebony lives in
shuffles.
2000 yeah,
That's it,
Ebony
that's
lives
it.
in 2004, confirmed.
It's like,
I feel like you would have some love for like U2 and REM though, just because that's what Reef listens to.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the Eagles. You
the
know, like,
Eagles,
so
Oh,
you
yeah,
have a
like,
place in your heart for
Meatloaf. There's some Meatloaf, some Super
Oh, yeah,
Tramp,
Meatloaf all the
like
way.
some.
Bad out of
the
hell.
classic,
yeah.
the classic easy rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I got my parents' generation shit and mine.
All right, that's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, Jasper, now that you are in class with Reef, what would your relationship be with your professor of Defense Against the Dark Arts?
I think it'd be good. It's the one class that he actually tries in
Okay.
and doesn't just keep his head down.
Okay.
Even though he still sits at the back of the class, he's still you could actually see his eyes. Like most of the classes, he's like this, and but in this class, he's more attentive and pays attention
And Reef, you must feel a sense of pride, because as you talk to the other teachers, especially the teachers in classes like the history of magic, where it's basically all lecture based, you get a lot more engagement out of Jasper than many of the other professors are able to. Go ahead and
Yeah,
roll.
my classes are actually interesting.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead and roll another d20 for me, Derek.
Okay.
For Jasper. And
7.
a 7. Go ahead and roll it again, because we've had this
Okay.
one before, and I'm trying
14.
14. I'm trying to get some new questions. Oh, let's do something else.
Okay.
Let's not do that one.
Okay.
I don't think it fits.
2.
2.
Was it another romance?
Yeah, it was another kind of lovey-dovey thing, and I was like,
Yeah,
I don't-
no, probably not.
that's not Jasper, I don't think.
No, no.
No.
Oh, we've had this question before. And
Do it.
Just go with it, yeah.
I don't think it's gonna work though. I'll ask it.
Try.
Why did you spend the summer at
Oh.
Professor Inkwood's house?
That's
One time before. That's how you
I
and
mean,
Ebony met.
I mean, my parents aren't dead, but I definitely don't interact with my parents either.
Okay. So could you?
So,
So I just collect
Maybe.
children.
Reef
wait.
Inkwood collects children for the summers.
Maybe he didn't stay with you for the summer. Maybe he like spent like a couple like when my parents first died and I was there, he came to visit
Yeah.
and
Or-
hung
or
out a
maybe-
little bit around the house.
Maybe your parents were like going somewhere for vacation. You're like, fuck that shit, you know. Like, I mean, I got space, you know.
Okay. So
Or that too.
Jasper to Reef. Yeah. Jasper came to visit during the summer. Spent some time there. Cool.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
like
so I
it.
collect children. I like it.
Collect children, yeah.
You
Reef-
got the
Reef-
you,
Oh, God.
you got all the Havenote's children at your
Yeah.
house.
opening their home to all these students. Right. All right.
I just imagine like having, I don't know. I don't.
Don't you
Derek,
have a
you would,
nephew or
you might
niece?
recognize this. Like the old, sort of 20s, 30s architecture that's kind of very common in Indiana, because that was when there was actually interesting things happening in Indiana. Like
Uh-huh.
the big old houses with the super high like doorways and nice wood floor. Like I'm just kind of imagining like one of those type houses
Mhm.
that like has way too many rooms and I live alone, and so I'm like, sure, put you in here, yeah. You know?
basically my aunt's house. Gotcha.
Yeah, there you go.
With a big property,
Yeah.
So-
pond.
So based on this information that we know about Jasper, Reef, do you feel that your relationship with Jasper would be a positive one?
Oh yeah.
Okay, go ahead and roll a
I don't
d20.
let people in my house if I don't. You know,
That's-
fair.
Oh, no, yeah.
Fair.
That's how I was thinking. I didn't know if you. There are some people
12.
that get into my house and I'm like, oh, I wish I would leave. But that's
Like, you didn't get to say the
enough.
That's a mood, Michael.
That's it. That's it. What did you roll?
I got a 12.
A 12. Okay. What about Jasper makes you feel safe when Jasper's around?
Ew, my kokoro.
I think part of it is that, I mean, just occasionally having someone around who is physically imposing can be very useful, especially considering I am not. And so that can be useful, but also I know that he is gifted in defensive magic, which is useful as well. And I know that he'll be able to take care of himself if the proverbial shit hits the proverbial fan.
What do you think? So you, with your answer to this, I know you said something similar about Ebony last time, where she's very gifted, but she just needs to apply herself. So do you feel like he is pushing himself? Do you think that he is able to do these things and pushing himself to the next level?
I think that he doesn't have quite the same sort of innate skill as Ebony does. But because he because you're firstborn caster, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like, because you are sort of the first person in your family to have this kind of ability, like you aren't exactly always sure of what, like, you would conventionally, like, be able to do, you know, like, a lot of people who, like, have grown up in the magical community, it's like, okay, yeah, there's this spell, then this spell, like, that's the progression. Whereas for you, you didn't, like, grow up in that culture, so you're like, this spell looks interesting, even though, you know, someone else might be like, oh, that's way higher level than, like, I should be looking at, but you're like, I'm just gonna try it, and, like, have had mostly success in that sort of experimentation.
Very cool.
So.
Very cool. Awesome. So you guys are getting ready for this field trip, and you're just waiting for one thing. And the one thing that you are waiting on is for Professor Halifax to arrive. He's running a bit late.
Oh, why you gotta do me like this every session?
I'm going by the college standard of if the professor isn't there by, like, 15 after, then you're able to leave, like, because class is canceled. So if he's not here, then I'm just gonna count him as absent, and we'll go on our way.
After about it's only been like 5 or 6 minutes. Eventually, Professor Halifax makes his way into the classroom. As you can see, Professor Halifax at the class is really anticipating this field trip. As you enter the room, and I'm just gonna let you guys do a little bit of RP here as you guys all gather together, getting ready for your field trip.
Alrighty, I'm here. I did a bit of a perimeter check down along the path, made sure nothing too horrific is going to interrupt our educational experience today, and it all seems good to go.
Well, wonderful that we're not staying on the path then. Recently, there has been some reports and sightings of redcaps throughout the forest. So we are going to be going mostly on an extermination trip. I would like to capture a few to show the lower level classes if that's possible, but I trust that all of you are advanced enough that you should be able to keep yourself safe and dispose of most of them.
Professor, what's red caps again?
Oh, they're so good.
That they are formed when blood falls on mushrooms. Fresh blood soaks into the ground. So we had a well, let's just say there was an accident in the forest, and someone may have lost a limb or two, a few times. Same person, multiple times, same limbs. Yeah, nurse was not happy about it.
There's at least 8 students staring at you right now, Reef, with horrible expressions on their face, like.
I lean over to Jasper. I'm like, this is gonna be so hardcore. Oh my god.
I lean back to her. How do you lose the same limb twice?
Be really dumb.
Interesting.
But yes, so we are going to try and wipe out the red caps that have sprung up from that.
We going now? We
Sounds
good?
fun.
Huh? Everyone's ready?
Professor, can we
Hell
take our
yeah.
brooms?
Why?
I mean, it's kind of a long walk, isn't it?
I mean,
It's Simon
we
Kettles in the back.
It's not actually that far, but I mean, are you then going to carry your broom with you as you are walking through the forest?
I'll
Because
just put it in my
you
backpack.
know- Okay, because you know what happens when you try and fly through the forest. The vines really do not like that.
Oh, I'm too quick for that. They're not gonna catch me.
Oh my
That's what
god,
the
Ink,
last person
Ink,
said.
let him try, please. Oh my god. I really want to see him try.
Ebony, you just get a dirty look as you're saying this from Simon. He's just like, he still remembers you zipping his mouth shut at the beginning of the week.
Say something, I dare you.
Wait, you're in Halifax's house, aren't you? He says you can go ahead.
No, I'm not in Halifax's house. I'm in Feis's,
too bad.
Feis's
You
Neefy.
can't look
See?
back. And I just start walking.
Just walks out. And as Professor walks out, a question for you, Jasper. What would your relationship be like with Professor Halifax?
What class does he teach?
He teaches the experimental botany and a lot of biology classes, and he has the greenhouse, which he does some interesting experiments out of.
Probably not super good. It's probably one of those classes he sleeps through.
Well, I cannot catch a break in this game. Huh?
I'm sorry.
I like you! Ebony likes you! You don't like me!
Yeah, it's not the fact that he doesn't like you, it's just the subject matter seems a little...
It's not
He
his
grew up in a
forte.
desert, so it's like
it's
he doesn't really
definitely
care
like-
about plants all that much.
All right. If it helps, it is 100% a bunch of like super dangerous monster plants.
Well, I mean, okay, then that's a little different. So maybe if we're in the classroom, it's asleep, but if we're in the greenhouse, he's attentive and like watches, basically, you know.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's like a neutral thing.
Roll a d20 and I'll look at all three charts and see which one best fits what you just said.
15.
15. Okay. Let's go ahead and I'll take it from the neutral one.
Okay.
Why do you feel that so many students are afraid of Professor Halifax?
Because he can't control his plants.
You know, I mean, that's probably a good point. Seeing the professor like have to wrestle a plant snake thingy probably isn't. I mean, I probably
not
thought
mine.
it was awesome.
That was not
Oh.
mine.
Sorry, right. But yeah, like I think other people probably find that like scary.
Okay.
I kind of think it's funny or interesting.
Sure. Gotcha.
Willful disregard for student safety.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a cool teacher. I mean, I don't know why everyone's scared of him.
Yeah, I'm super cool. And also, aren't we not going into the forest to fight redcaps with a bunch of students?
Oh yeah, no.
This also is-
Wait a minute, do I smell a double standard?
100%. 100%. Not denying that.
Oh, Halifax! I adore Halifax. Don't even that.
And,
The difference as Reef sees it is that I have prepared my students to like deal with these. I'm
That's
not
true.
bringing
Yeah.
an unknown quantity.
I imagine it's more of the recognition of the fact that things might be
Yeah.
dangerous.
Oh yeah, like that's why I'm only bringing upper level students. You know.
Awesome. And as the students are starting to file out the door, that is where we're going to end today's episode of Kids on Brooms.
Hey.